All right, I think it is time to get started with this webinar. So, welcome everybody to this EPR Public Webinar on AI for the delivery of services for persons with disabilities. For those who may not know me, I'm Clara Becer and I'm Policy Officer at the European Platform for Rehabilitation. And today I will be moderating this webinar. And our Secretary General, Alicia Gomez Campos, uh, it's not been possible for her to join us today, but she sends her warm regards to all of you participants. And yeah, I believe we can start first by giving the floor to Nectaria Sifaki, who is head of VT department at Theotokos Foundation, for some welcome words for this webinar. Nectaria, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Clara, and thank you all that you're joining this webinar today. As Clara said, I'm Nectaria Sifaki and I work at the Theotokos Foundation. I'm an occupational therapist and a career counselor. And as member of the EPR Board of Directors and co-leader of the working group Digital Skills, it's my pleasure to open this webinar on AI for the delivery of services for persons with disabilities. This is a topic we follow closely through the EPR Digital Skills Working Group, which is a community of members who met online throughout the year, committed to developing and strengthening digital skills. AI is now at the forefront of the European policy, and it's rapidly transforming the way we design and deliver services for people with disabilities. Today, we will explore practical applications, challenges, and opportunities, as well as how AI can enhance access, quality, and effectiveness in our services, always with a strong focus on the rights and the needs of the people we support. I wish you all a productive and inspiring afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nectaria, for these opening words. And I would like to follow up by also providing some context for this webinar. Um, as some of you may know, since 2023, EPR has been working um, on addressing innovative topics that could improve service delivery for persons with disabilities, as well as quality of life of the persons using such services. And in 2023, EPR decided for its next annual conference to be on the topic of AI. And after considerable research on key stakeholders in the sector, EPR decided on its annual conference to specifically focus on AI and new technologies for a more inclusive society. And this annual conference was co-organized with one of EPR members, Fundación Once, who are experts on the topic. After this conference, EPR continued working on this topic through its digital skills working group, as Nectaria very well said, and by producing a briefing on the ethical use of AI in services for persons with disabilities. And at EPR, we continue following AI policy developments at the EU level and sharing good practices and discussions among members. So as you can see in the slide that is right now on screen, during this webinar, we will delve into the state of play of EU-level policy on AI, in particular the AI Act. Then we will have the perspective of AI in social services. After that, we will delve into the key conclusions from EPR's 2024 annual conference and its briefing on the ethical use of AI in services for persons with disabilities. And finally, we will learn from EPR's members good practices. So we think it's going to be a very complete session where we will get lots of insights. So maybe we can move forward to the next slide. Yes. And before we get started, I wanted to share some housekeeping rules. Firstly, this webinar will be recorded to potentially be published. So if you do not wish to be recorded to be on camera, please turn off your own camera. And we would also ask you to please keep your microphone on mute if you are not actively participating in the conversation. And finally, of course, we invite you to share any questions or any comments that you may have through the chat, and we will make sure to address them during the Q&A sessions after each presentation. Uh, without further ado, I would like to give the floor to our first presentation of today, which is from Kave Nori, who is the Artificial Intelligence Policy Officer at the European Disability Forum. And he will present on the policy state of play on the AI Act. So, Kave, the floor is yours. And I think you have the option of sharing your presentation. So, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Clara. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for listening. My name is Kaveh Nouri, as you said, and I want to apologize beforehand that this presentation will not be as prepared as I had hoped for. I had a lot of misfortune. I'm going home to Sweden from Brussels by train, and I have had a lot of trouble. We'll actually travel starting on Monday to travel with my dog, and now we've been stuck 2 times in Germany, actually in Flensburg. I am right now in the border to Germany, and I found a non-profit co-hosting space where I'm able to stay until like 20 minutes after my presentation. I will try to follow with you as well during this. Um, because I really look forward to this, but it also means that I wasn't really able to put together everything at the standard I usually had hoped for. I think you will still like it, but bear in mind with me, and if there is some things I'm not able to address beforehand, if I'm not able to address everything that you bring up, then as questions or so, I can also like get back to you regarding it. And there is one thing that I'm actually thinking that I will have to that I would like wanted to have covered, which I simply will have to like come back to you with. But with that little caveat, let's begin the presentation. Um, I'm gonna see if this works well. One second, please. Um, do you see the slides, and does it
Yes,
work?
it
Perfect.
works. Thank you so much.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so you invited me to speak about the state of play and the implementation of the AI Act. And this will be a little bit more heavy on the side of implementing the AI Act because there are some details regarding proposed changes to the AI Act, despite that it hasn't gone into force yet, which we're still exploring. And as part of the preparations for this presentation, due to the circumstances I told you about, I wasn't able to put them in the slide. So I will focus on the implementation and just talk briefly about this part. To start, my role at the European Disability Forum is that I work as AI policy officer. And as part of this work, we lobby the EU AI Act and other guidelines that come in relation to it, like the high-risk AI guidelines, and we also build capacity of our EDF member organizations, like EPR kindly invited us today. It's really important part of our work to articulate how AI, both in positive and negative terms, affect the rights of people with disabilities. I'm also a member of a technical committee by a standardization body that focuses on accessibility in Canada, which is called the Accessible Standards Canada is the name of the institution, and they've recently released the world's first standard on AI and accessibility and equity. And I also write articles for the Swedish Data Protection Forum, which is a professional association for people who work with privacy in Sweden. So if I may start very generally, we have both opportunities and challenges with AI because people with disabilities experience the extreme positives and the extreme negatives. And if we consider the potential, we could see that although language models for the moment are producing inaccurate information, at least to the extent that we cannot trust them and we need to verify what they produce, there is a idea that really attracts me, which is that we could use it to have interactive learning material and textbooks that adapt to different learning styles. And I think this can also be very beneficial for children with different disabilities. Although it's worth mentioning that it's too early at this stage, and I think I read an article from South Korea where they actually really went all in with digital textbooks, and it turned out to be a fiasco because it was not like there was unreliable information there. So um, and that's also one thing with a lot of the AIs that have potential for people with disabilities that right now we still need to generally see them, many of them, as that they are experimental, that you can play with them, but you cannot always rely on them. Speech to text is an example of AI which maybe has been around a little longer as a tool of accessibility. It might be more reliable than other technologies, but still it also doesn't always translate accurately. And if you are hard of hearing or if you have speech difficulties and have a different accent, it's not always able to recognize your voice, but it's still an important tool. And we have Be My Eyes or Be My AI, which is an app that is um, taking the content of an image and trying to describe it for someone who's blind. And then we have planning assistants that can help people with Alzheimer's, autism, and ADHD to be able to, for example, plan their day or make a strategy. One thing that's good to keep in mind is that technology is never neutral and it reflects the creator and what they were thinking. So we strongly advocate for that any type of AI needs to be designed with people with disabilities in mind, but that people with disabilities also need to be included in the design process. Because if you try to imagine what a person with a disability needs, if you're an inventor, you will almost certainly, in most cases, not take the full needs into account, and that leads to many inventions that are not useful, and you both waste money and you offend the people you want to help if you're actually trying to market something that doesn't work for that group as something that you could rely on. And this is something that we unfortunately see time and time again, that there is a lot of inventions that that unfortunately happen here. And it's not only about like lack of ideas, but it also, I think, is related to oppression and power, because it's also about deciding whose needs are important, that you put resources onto research and ensure that the product is usable and safe and comfortable for everyone. Just one second. When AI fails people with disabilities, you can, for example, have emotion recognition software that misreads the sign language because sign language uses facial expressions as part of its grammar. When you ask a question, you put down your eyebrows. And there was a research report that showed that that was interpreted as negative emotions by an AI. Um, you can have anti-cheating software, like during the Corona pandemic, when people had to take tests online, there was software that was supposed to see if someone is like looking somewhere else or if they seem nervous. So if you have blindness, you might not be looking at the camera or like look the way the software is trained, or if you are motorically overactive because you have anxiety, ADHD, and similar, that can also trigger you to be flagged as suspicious during the test. There was a case in the US where two parents who both have had disabilities had a 7-month daughter who they took to the hospital because she wasn't drinking and she was dehydrated. But then soon after, social services came and actually took the child into custody. I say I haven't put the link here, but I hope I can come back to you with that, because the problem in this case allegedly was that the county was using a system that was flagging people based on risk scores, and here there was strong suspicion that the parent's disability was a risk factor in itself, according to this software, and they couldn't challenge it in court properly because the parents were not given the full grounds for how the authorities reasoned for their decision. Fraud detection systems in social security systems have also been shown to have bias, because where there you are usually trying to look for anything that stands out. AI is really good when it comes to handling things that fall within the statistical average. Um, but so it can be a powerful tool, but people with disabilities have a strong tendency in different data sets to be outliers in the statistics. So by definition, you are an outlier, and that's why you are very likely to be flagged. So let's say there is um, a risk of generally 5% fraud in a social security system, then because of having a disability, there can be a risk that maybe 50% or 40% or even 60% of people with disabilities might be flagged because they're different. And if that happens, you can start talking about structural discrimination, because it also has consequences if you're uh, subject to more scrutiny because of being different, and also if you have your benefit disrupted, while you're under investigation, it really puts your life on pause. And here I'm referring actually to research from Amnesty that looked into how the benefit system in France was trying to find risk for abuse of the system. And here, having a disability, being on disability benefit while you are working, was something that triggered extra investigations, according to Amnesty. If you have an international overview of what's happening, we can see that there is getting like a separation between the EU and the US when it comes to regulating technology. EU adopted the AI Act, but in the US they are going towards full deregulation. And so the US administration have imposed a system where they actually punish companies that make AI systems if the company is actively trying to take away bias in their AI system. Then they risk being excluded from public. What's called when companies offer their services to the public sector. I forgot now if it's called acquisition, uh, or um, uh, or what it's called, but basically there's a risk that they lose that. So that can have an indirect effect on what future AI models that are available also for the private sector, because companies are not going to like develop two different versions. It's really expensive to develop AI systems. So this can lead to more biased AI models in the future. And this case also highlights a bit of that it's also easy to roll back when we only have legal safeguards that we're trying to create in the AI Act. So there is a lot of things that also legislation cannot handle, but it's really important to know what's going on. Also, especially because it seems like they are trying to uh, put a bit of pressure on the EU through diplomatic channels to also relax our technology rules in the EU. Um, so there is a bit of divergence in like how it's viewed that we should regulate things. But then if we look on the positive side, as I mentioned, Canada has published the world's first standard on accessible and equitable AI systems, and it suggests that people with disabilities should be involved at every stage of the development of AI, and that there should also be equivalent alternatives to human decision or supervision. And one concrete example is that a deaf person should always have the possibility of requesting a human interpreter instead of an AI interpreter, or as I mentioned before, with online anti-cheating software, when someone is doing an exam, then if you're blind, you should be able to request to have like a human that is monitoring your test so that you're not unfairly treated, and you should be able to do that without being the risk of penalty. If we look at the timeline for the AI Act, the original timeline was that we had the prohibitions on AI systems that went into force in February this year, and then in August this year, we had the rules on what's called general purpose AI. You can think of general purpose AI as AI such as ChatGPT and AI that creates um, video, text, audio, etc. The reason I believe it's called general purpose is that you can take these systems and you can put them inside other systems. So they're not designed for only one specific field. Like if you are a company that, if you're an airline, for example, you could put this um, chatbot in your system, and then you don't need to teach it how to talk to humans. You only need to give it the price information and the routes, and it can supposedly give answers. In August 2026, most rules, such as enforcement, will go into force. But then um, the most, or the part of the AI Act which has most rules is the high-risk AI systems, and that is planned to go into force in August of 2027. Um, there is a proposal to both change the AI Act and weaken it, but also to delay the timeline. For the moment, it's not certain if these will go through, but there is a battle regarding that, and also there is political disagreement about it, and we will have to see what happens. But I expect that in the next months, like the first 3 months of 2026, will be very intense in regards to the planned changes that are proposed in the omnibus. I'm sorry that I don't have the slide that I could prepare to show you, but I can try to send something like a short summary afterwards. And EDF and its partner organizations that are working on the AI Act, we work with Amnesty and some other human rights organizations. We're still analyzing this. So I will also have something more detailed, hopefully by the end of January, from our common analysis that we're going to complete by then that I can present. Uh, just wanted to check how we're doing with time. Um, can you help me, Clara?
Yeah.
Just so yeah.
Yes, so you would have now around 10 more minutes, including Q&A. So more or less, if you speak for about 8 more minutes would be good, more or
Okay,
less. Yep. Thank you.
then no worries. So I'll be a bit. I will speed up a little bit, and I realize that I was um a bit overambitious about how much I would be able to cover, but we also try to be available if there would be more questions. I'm also happy to commit to answer them. If you, Clara, if you want, you can maybe write them. If you can gather them, I can try to answer them just because we want to make
Hmm.
sure that anyone gets the information they need and want. EDF has developed something called a toolkit, which supports organizations of persons with disabilities on national level to be able to advocate on how the AI actually should be implemented in a human rights friendly way in their member states. And it has different chapters. First, we try to explain what the AI Act is. We talk about different risk categories. There is, you could say, 5 risk categories. There are um, forbidden AI systems that are banned, that are considered to be so dangerous to human rights and democracy that they cannot be tolerated in the EU. We have high-risk AI systems, which are AI systems that can potentially, if they make missteps, turn people's lives upside down. So it's AI that decides who gets hired or fired at the workplace, who gets into a prestigious university education, yes or no on a benefit that you applied for to the government, insurance, use of AI by the police, migration authorities, and some other high risk situations. And then you have the uh, transparency risk category. This one could also have been called medium risk, but it's basically chatbots that you have that um, where people have the right to know that they are interacting with the chatbot or that they have the right to be able to know if they are seeing an AI generated video or image. This is really a hot topic right now simply because AI generators that make AI videos, they have become really good. Maybe you have personally seen a lot of AI generated content that looks more and more realistic in your feed. And if people don't know, there is a high risk that we start doubting everything we see online and think that, oh, this is just AI and it can especially if we talk about things that are related to political events. If a politician does something they can just deny it because it was AI or other things, then it becomes really difficult to have the society that we currently have and the trust that we have. And then low risk AI systems are AI systems that do not have additional rules in the AI Act. And we also have general purpose AI, as I was talking about, and those can be any of these risk categories. So, like if you put ChatGPT and you try to ask it to evaluate CVs, then it would be general purpose AI with the combination of being a high risk system because it's used in a high risk situation. So the rules are dependent on when it is used and the situation more than the technology itself. When it comes to the risk categories, then I had prepared a slide about unacceptable risk, and there is guidelines from the Commission about it. What's important to have in mind is that these are AI systems that are seriously risking to destabilize society or can really harm people. And when you interpret the rules in related to forbidden AI systems, then you have to interpret them narrowly. This is a legal term. It means that you should, uh, like, if you're not very sure that it's a forbidden system, then it's probably not a forbidden system, and rather it could be high risk. This is just how the guidelines say that you should interpret them. But if you violate the high risk, I mean, the forbidden AI system rules, then you also risk a very high fine of up to 7% of global turnover or 35 million euros. And that's for the private sector. I will jump over the actual different prohibitions to just go to high-risk AI systems. So those were the ones that decide if somebody should get a job or not, or assist those types of decisions. EDF and our partners, we worked very hard to get a requirement that all AI systems should have mandatory accessibility requirements. We only managed to get that for high-risk AI systems, but we're really happy with the provision because it explicitly refers to a definition of accessibility as defined by the European Accessibility Act and the Web Accessibility Directive. There is a requirement of bias testing AI so that it doesn't discriminate and that people have a right to explanation of the logic behind an AI decision that is made by an AI system that is high risk. And there always needs to be a human in the loop when high-risk AI systems are deciding. We try to encourage people to use the right to complain and get an explanation if they are afraid that they might have been badly treated by an AI. We have more information in the toolkit about it. And I will jump over to just mentioning. So I think I have like maybe 2 more minutes, right?
Exactly.
Okay. So there is also a governance structure with different bodies on EU level. So we have the European Commission, which is like has an AI office. There is an AI board consisting of supervisory authorities, scientific panel, an advisory council where nonprofits and human rights organizations have like, I think, half of the seats. And then you have market surveillance authorities and authorities protecting fundamental rights, which is like discrimination ombudsman. And we strongly encourage our member organizations to cooperate with these because the authorities protecting fundamental rights on national level are giving advice and have a legally defined role to provide human rights expertise to the market surveillance authorities, because the market surveillance authorities, they are like they have the power to investigate AI products and services as if they were a product. So like when you complain about a faulty AI systems, the legislation is very similar to if you are like complaining about a light bulb. So that's why you need to have human rights perspective as well. And we do have some recommendations. I won't be able to cover that. There is also a example of a success where they actually, through lobbying from civil society, decided to have a public registry of all AI systems in Slovenia in the public sector, even the medium and low risk ones, which is really cool. And lastly, all AI must be designed with people with disabilities in mind. Legal frameworks should enforce strong human rights standards. Equality bodies have a very active role. We would really welcome you to subscribe to EDF's newsletter, where we try to keep you updated. And then I see that I need to remove this because we already had a webinar previously about the toolkit. And with this, I say thank you so much for your attention. I hope that you found this to be interesting and helpful, despite the bit improvised level of things I had to deal with because of the personal situation I was in. But again, I'll try to be available to answer questions that might not be covered now in the Q&A, just to make sure that you still get what you hoped for from my participation in this event.
Thank you very much, Kave, and also thank you for preparing this presentation, even with all these unfortunate series of events. I would like to open the floor for our participants in case they have any questions for Kave. So, yes, I open the floor for any questions.
Oh,
Okay, so far.
maybe
Yeah,
I can try. I
go
was,
for it, Katrina.
don't worry. I was trying to maybe write down in a chat, but I guess there is no point for that. Well, first of all, thank you for the presentation and for sharing thoughts and ideas. So my question was, I don't know whether it's gonna be very specific or maybe just general just to think about something. Are there any ideas maybe how can maybe service providers create or participate in inclusive testing environments to ensure like new tools meet real accessibility needs, if it makes any sense?
I muted myself. Thank you. That's a really, really good question. I think service providers can fill a very important role. So the legislation mostly talks about what needs to be achieved, and how things can be achieved is a little bit left to the market. I don't know if anyone else who has worked with like standards can maybe help, because I've been involved in Canadian standards, but not in the EU standards, because I see that Chiara Giovanni is also here, who I know has a bit more experience on this. What I can say is that I'm hoping that there are structures that are created that can help this, because from a personal reflection, I think that every company that makes AI systems are not having the means of creating a big test infrastructure where they can recruit people with different kinds of disabilities and also from different fields. So I'm hoping somehow that there can be like a publicly funded or like publicly facilitated infrastructure where people with disabilities and people who work with people with disabilities can be educated, so they can give like useful feedback to companies, and then the companies can just tap into this, because I think that's maybe what's necessary in practice to solve it. Right now, there are only a few companies that maybe, like for example, Google and Apple and these big companies, they have like whole departments that work with accessibility. And I think something similar is needed, because most AI things are anticipated to also be designed by smaller companies, as far as I understand. At least that's how the policies are trying to encourage to startups and similar. And I think this would be an important. So you're really pinpointing a very important problem, and I only have a reflection that's not the full solution. So thank you for bringing it up.
Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. I'm wondering if there are any other questions. Feel free to unmute yourself and bring them up. And otherwise, we will conclude this section of the webinar. So thank you very much, Kave, for your presentation. If anyone has any extra questions after the webinar, feel free to send them to me. and I will make sure to forward them to Cave. And we will be happy to disseminate any research you do with Amnesty, any analysis on this AI omnibus. Happy to receive it and to also give it a look and share it with our members. So thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you as well. It was a pleasure.
Thanks. Okay, then moving forward, I would like to give the floor to Mila Shamku, the coordinator of Social Services Europe, who will provide a presentation on AI and social services. So, Mila, I will give you the floor and feel free to share any presentation you may have.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Clara. I'm really happy to participate to this event today. I'm the new coordinator of Social Services Europe, which is Europe's leading organization for non-profit social service providers. And EPR is one of our members. And I see in the audience that colleagues from other member organizations are also taking part in this event. So thanks a lot. I have to apologize in advance that after my presentation, I will have to leave. I don't know about your life, but December is absolutely unbearable in terms of workload for anyone. So, and I'm super sorry because I never do this. And you can ask all my friends and my former colleagues. I never do it. I stay until the end and participate, but please, I'm sorry. So accept my apologies. I will share my screen to show you a presentation that I put together based on content that was, wait, I don't know how to do this. Wait. Okay. Do you see it?
Not yet, no. I believe it's with the share icon in the bottom of this. Now it's loading, sorry.
Super. And if
Good.
and how do I put it in presentation mode here?
I think clicking there exactly.
My computer got all emotional and it's not doing anything now. So do you see the bit with the
Yes,
with the black
unfortunately,
parts or the
yes,
normal
with the black
presentation?
parts. We had the same issue. It's okay. Feel free to either share it like this or with the previous version, just with the.
And now you see the presentation, but not in
Yes,
slideshow mode. It
not
doesn't
in
matter. Okay.
slideshow. It's okay.
So I was saying I put together this presentation based on common content that was developed by Social Services Europe and EPR in 2024, where there was a very interesting event that was commonly organized specifically on AI for the delivery of services for people with disability. So I will start by mentioning some of the opportunities. I won't be very long because Kave's presentation was extra good and full of very important political messages that we also share. So amongst the opportunities, we have identified efficiency, because AI can automate routine tasks, or optimize some resource allocation and support decision making. It can improve personalization of services, because generative AI and predictive models enable tailored care and support for diverse needs. This can be the case for vulnerable groups, including people with disability. And it can strengthen inclusion, because some AI technology can be very beneficial for social service users, including people with disability. Amongst the challenges, of course, this was already mentioned earlier, bias and inequality is something that is of great concern, to social services Europe. Machine learning algorithms may replicate societal biases and actually enhance them at a scale that is not present right now. Although, of course, there is bias and prejudice right now, but having it through an AI can massively reproduce it at scale and insist on some specific kind of biases. The workforce in social service provision lack the digital skills to actually adapt to AI needs, and many of them, oftentimes rightly so, see it as a threat to their job security and livelihoods. To conclude with the challenges, we also have ethical dilemmas. So balancing efficiency with human oversight and safeguarding against intrusive surveillance is also something that we consider a concern, especially if you take into account that in the provision of care, you have many sensitive data that is treated. Now, what are the opportunities of AI in social service specifically? We have identified a few. One is co-design and implement AI to be inclusive and consider human diversity, because people are far more complex and diverse than AI system can fully comprehend. As Kaveh mentioned earlier, speech-to-text technologies fail to recognize the speech patterns of people who are hard of hearing. Anti-cheating software can also be detrimental to people with disability when using these softwares. And if AI-based tools are designed exclusively for a majority, then it's almost as if they would exclude the minority by design, if you so to speak, let's say. The second item that I'd like to mention amongst the opportunity of AI in social services is technology in social care should augment human capabilities rather than replacing them. So here we state once again the importance of the human in control feature. AI should therefore always increase the accessibility of users to social services, supporting the empowerment of individuals as well as the quality of life of the services users, but it should never replace fully the human experience. The third aspect is ensure freedom of choice, control and transparency in the use of AI, setting realistic expectations from the start. AI systems, in our opinion, must be transparent. They should give users control over their data and the option to disconnect if they want to. Managing expectations about AI's current capabilities is crucial, because there is a tendency, and Kaveh mentioned this briefly, to overestimate the potential of the current systems that are available, especially in terms of generative AI or the so-called general purpose AI. And this can lead to obstacles, but also disappointment by users and social service providers. When it comes to responsible integration of AI in social services, we also identified three main recommendations that I'm going to present. And one is establish an impact assessment framework to evaluate AI systems before implementation, monitor their performance during use, and analyze their outcome post deployment. Innovation, in our opinion, requires carefully selecting the most impactful application of AI from a range of possibilities. The benefits of AI must be weighed against the significant cost of procurement, training, and investment in technology and infrastructure, as these may divert resources from more critical priorities. The second recommendation is raising awareness on the regulation of AI, horizontal and sectorial regulation. We find this crucial. Social service providers require support from the EU and national governments to safely and legally utilize the potential of AI tools. We believe that a clear understanding of regulations from the outset is essential to successfully transform an idea or a research project into a commercialized AI tool that aligns with the requirement of the social care market. And thirdly, for a responsible integration of AI and to deliver meaningful innovation, a multidisciplinary team is required. Innovation is not a one-man show. It requires the finding of a common language to exchange practices and experiences with other actors in the industry, creating or mapping specific bodies of knowledge regarding impact assessment, for example, health economics, industrial networking, market analysis, policy, regulatory aspects. All of these different profiles should work hand in hand in order to provide a responsible integration of AI in social services. The third area that we have, for which we have identified recommendations, I left it last because I want to connect it with a project that we are running on this right now, is skills for AI in social services. The first recommendation is to include frontline workers in the AI design and implementation process. Again, as you see, the element of including workers, but also users, as we mentioned in advance, is crucial. The lack of participatory approaches in implementing AI system and a top-down approach is ineffective, and we've seen it exacerbate situations on the ground. There is resistance and mistrust by users of the technology, which happen to be workers in social service provision. The second recommendation is to offer target training programs focusing on integrating AI into daily tasks. We have an initiative called the Care for Skills project. I'll delve a little bit deeper into that in one second. That offers MOOCs on digital care and technologies and can play a vital role in equipping workers with the necessary skills and motivation. Workers should also be educated on data protection and managing risks that help alleviate the fears about technology use. Digital training should be accessible to all during working time and free of charge. And collaboration between the education sector and the industry, as well as funding, are also essential to successfully bridge the gap between the current provision of digital skills in the education system and the demand for skills in the digital health sector. The third recommendation that we have identified specifically on skills is AI implementation should be carefully planned and include ethical considerations of gender, aging, and workers' rights in the face of automation. Many organizations adopt AI solutions simply to stay updated, often neglecting to assess existing challenges and explore how AI could address them effectively. This rushed approach, driven by fear of missing out on the AI boom, again, the ambulance chasing fashion wave that we are experiencing, this can lead to poorly aligned implementations. Additionally, the intention behind AI application, particularly in data use, must be critically examined to safeguard trust and ensure AI aligns with a rights-based, personalized, person-centered, and user-oriented care approach. So politically, this is what we have produced in terms of the implementation of AI technology in the provision of social services. When it comes to skills, I'll stop sharing, wait. When it comes to skills, I had it here, wait. I'm not ready for Zoom, let alone AI. It's wait, I'm almost there. All right. When it comes to skills, I won't present you the whole project, but I wanted to present very briefly what are the objectives and how you could, if you want, if you're interested, possibly participate. So we have a project that started last year and will run until 2028. We are implementing this with a lot of great partners, and some of whom are in the room. I'm thinking of EASPD and others. It's called Care for Skills, and it's about building skills in long-term care. And there are some strands of this work that are relevant to the discussion on AI that we're having today. This is why I'm not presenting the whole project. Amongst the objectives, we have the design of high-quality training programs to address the urgent need for skills, specifically in long-term care. So it's not limited to AI, and it's not limited to people with disability either. It's larger than that. It's digital skills in long-term care and human-centered approach in care provision, again, in long-term care. So we have produced the project has produced a MOOC on which was quite successful in addressing immediate skills needs. The work goes on, and the project is quite ambitious and is acting as the coordinator of a large-scale partnership on long-term care. So the partnership, wait. These are the actions that the partnership has decided to work on, and one is training. So the aim is to contribute to and enable the training of at least 60% of long-term care professionals annually by 2030. And the topics are specifically, as I was saying, digital skills and person-centered care. Organizations that are interested in these topics on training, it's not only training, but I will just focus on training today, can become members of the large-scale partnership for long-term care that is coordinated jointly by Social Services Europe and EASPD. And you could become involved if you're interested in this topic. You can expand your network by joining and access innovative knowledge about care provision in long-term care, specifically on human-centered approach and digital skills. We have, it looks very complicated, but it's not that complicated, a system to welcome application to join the partnership. There's a very simple website where you can manifest your interest. Then you have a call with us, and we take a decision in a very short amount of time. And then you register in the Pact for Skills portal, because this is in the framework of the Pact for Skills initiative. And then that's it. And then you're a member. We have decided to work in strands. within the large-scale partnership for long-term care. As I was saying, one is focused on person-centered care. One is focused on digital skills for long-term care workforce. And even if, of course, you would have an interest in long-term care if you join the partnership, but the digital skills and the some of the digital skills, knowledge, best practices, innovative practices can be replicable to care in general, not only to long-term care. This is what I wanted to say. We also have, precisely to enhance our knowledge development, we have decided to have a specific strand on research and innovation, and we already have a few universities and research centers in the partnership. Voilà. This was my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mila. And I was wondering if anybody has any questions for Mila.
Yes, I do
Giada.
have a question about the large-scale partnership for long-term care. I am Giada Venier and I work in Donocchi Foundation. It's well, I will have a presentation later, but we are one of the largest providers of rehabilitation and long-term care in Italy. And actually, 1 year ago, more or less, we had a call with the leaders or representatives from ESPD and Social Services Europe to get more information about this partnership. And at that time, regarding the type of members that you include, at that time you didn't have healthcare organizations. So it seemed to have a very strong focus on social services. So I wanted to ask you 1 year later, how is if the membership is growing and if it is more diversified in terms of types of stakeholders. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Giada. Italy is the country I know best, so I know the Donocchi Foundation quite well. I'm not sure how to respond to your question because I wasn't there last year and the whole team changed. So I would be very open and enthusiastic about a call with you or someone from the Donocchi Foundation. The partnership has certainly grown since last year. It is true that at least since I have started, we have focused a little bit more in engaging with research centers and universities because that was the bit that was missing in terms of knowledge production. Because one of the outputs of the project is to provide curricula, like training curricula. But I would be very happy to have a call again and reply to your questions after I have read everything that happened in the previous years.
We can definitely have an update call because yes, a lot of time has passed. So we would like to know more about how this partnership is evolving. So it will be a pleasure to have a call.
For me too.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for the question and for the presentation. And if there are no further questions, then I think we should move on for the sake of time. So thank you so much, Mila, for your intervention. And good luck with everything we have to do before the holidays.
Thank you very much. I'm very sorry I have to leave, but thank you very much for the opportunity.
No problem. Thank you so much.
Can I just?
Yes, Furious.
Can I just one word to Mila? Thank you very much. I'm Furio Grammatica. I also work in the Donocchi Foundation, but I am the chairman since June of EPR. And even in EPR, we are pushing a lot towards extending to long-term care, both in medical and in social since I mean people is a unique as a whole unique target. So even as EPR, we would like to explore this kind of alliance instead of duplicating what you are doing, doubling what you're doing. It would be nice to discuss about.
Well, I think it's a great idea, and I'm also of the opinion that if we that there's no need to replicate, in my opinion, then I for sure politically from your side it's your responsibility to check this, but from my side there is complete openness. Let's make this efficient because our service providers are in need, and most importantly, the service users are in even more pressing needs. So I would be very happy to have a call with either the Donocchi Foundation, with EPR, or both. So
okay. Super.
With pleasure.
Thank you very much, Mila. Thank you for the very nice presentation.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, so moving on to the next section of this meeting, which I will be presenting. So I think we are going to share the slides very swiftly. Perfect. Okay, wonderful. So yes, as we were discussing earlier at the beginning of this webinar, between the 18th and 19th of June 2024, EPR held its annual conference on AI and new technologies for inclusion, leaving no one behind in the digital transition, which was quite a successful conference with over 100 participants from all over Europe. It accounted with participation from, of course, EPR members, but also government representatives such as ministers from Luxembourg, local stakeholders pioneering AI solutions such as the University of Malaga, and also tech companies like Google or Samsung, and other EU actors like the OECD, the European Disability Forum, and Social Services Europe. And four key topics were discussed or came to light during those days of the annual conference, which were tech and AI for inclusion, AI and employment, the ethical use of AI, and AI and efficiency of services for persons with disabilities. So let's delve into each one of these topics and which were the main takeaways from the conference. Next slide. Yes, thank you so much. So, regarding the topic of tech and AI for inclusion, speakers delved into the two sides of the coin. So, the potential for inclusion of persons with disabilities through AI, but also the challenges in maximizing AI's potential for inclusion. So, on the positive side, AI brings a lot of innovation in different applications, such as image and video processing, text, voice, and language processing. So, for example, automatic captioning, which we were talking about earlier, and for instance, the transcription of phone calls through, for example, one of Samsung's applications for calling. AI can also provide opportunities for simplified communication. So simplifying the content of texts, of speeches, etc. Also, it can be a helpful tool for navigation and guidance. And finally, it can be a tool for incident detection and anticipation. However, it also presents some challenges, such as, for instance, there may be a limited awareness of existing AI tools and features, which then renders these tools, they are not used. So then it is not so useful if they are not well known. Secondly, ensuring it is very important to ensure an inclusive design of AI systems by involving persons with disabilities in such design. Otherwise, these applications may not be useful and may not accomplish the objectives it has to support persons with disabilities. Thirdly, another challenge is the internet connectivity of AI solutions. In order to make them universally accessible, they need to be able to function without having internet access. In fourth place, it is also important to have a democratization of AI tools across the world so that they are not only accessible in one region or another. And finally, another challenge is moving from research prototypes to widely available products that are accessible and also affordable. Okay, we can move on to the next slide. So, moving to a different topic that was dealt with during the conference, which is AI and employment. It was discussed that AI can have an assistive role and an important role in increasing accessibility and providing support opportunities in the workplace. And it can also be used as a tool to search and create new job opportunities. However, poorly managed AI could worsen the workplace barriers for persons with disabilities. And one group that is particularly vulnerable to this are persons with intellectual disabilities who might face job displacement. Additionally, speakers underlined the importance of education and training on AI and new technologies for persons with disabilities, and this can contribute to bridging the digital divide, which, if it is not addressed, can exacerbate inequalities between persons with disabilities and society. Finally, speakers also noted the key role of employers in promoting disability inclusion and incorporate AI responsibility in their work. On the topic of ethics in the age of AI, speakers noted that AI has the potential to be a powerful tool for inclusion, but only if it is used ethically and if it respects and promotes human rights. Speakers also noted the importance of collaboration among end users, the private sector, and policymakers and regulators in order to address these ethical challenges in AI. So, as Kabe and also as Mila noted, this collaboration is essential. Moreover, the AI revolution should not be looked at with fear, according to the speakers of the conference, although AI systems pose risks for persons with disabilities. Transparency in handling data and prioritizing human oversight can address privacy concerns and prevent discriminatory impact of AI systems. Therefore, AI should be audited for bias, privacy protected, and used to support and not replace human assistance. Finally, it was noted, previous slide. It was noted that Europe needs to fix the pacing problem that it has, whereby legislation lags behind technological developments. It's very important to find a balance between not stifling innovation, but also not creating tools that perpetuate discrimination of vulnerable groups, such as persons with disabilities. Okay, we can go to the next slide. On the topic of AI and efficiency of services, it was noted that AI can help services for persons with disabilities be more efficient in delivering their support and care. And some examples were provided. For instance, Fundación Once uses AI to optimize labor intermediation processes. And Autism Foundation Finland uses AI for shift planning, therefore increasing the efficiency of the organizations. Additionally, the adoption and uptake of AI needs to be supported by proper structural funding in the sector that makes technology affordable and accessible to services. And finally, it is key to train and upskill staff, management, and users in social services and in services for persons with disabilities on AI and new technologies to be able to seize these opportunities that AI may bring. So moving forward, since the topic of the ethical use of AI was dealt with during the annual conference in 2024, EPR then continued working on this topic and drafted a briefing on the ethical use of AI in services for persons with disabilities. And you can find on the slide, there is a QR code that will lead you directly to this briefing in case you are interested. And we can also, of course, share it with you after this webinar. We can move on to the next slide. Okay, so in the first section of the paper, the ethical challenges and opportunities of AI were explained. And the first one that is dealt with is the preventing discrimination through different options. For instance, having an effective use of public procurement. So when public money is used to purchase assistive technologies and equipment, this must be accessible. And likewise, public investments should not be channeled in AI systems that cause discrimination. So another important point is preventing the digital divide. So policy frameworks must consider the affordability and accessibility of AI systems to mitigate risks and of accelerating social inequalities. Additionally, since AI hinges upon statistical reasoning and machine learning, it tends to favor the typical and predictable, as Kave very well mentioned in his intervention. And as a result, this can propagate discrimination against those who are statistically different, such as persons with disabilities. Therefore, it is very important to create AI systems and algorithms that value human uniqueness rather than amplifying existing biases. Finally, it is also essential to overcome privacy risks that are inherent of AI that uses personal data in order to prevent such discrimination. We can move to the second point that is addressed, which is disability inclusive AI is essential. A key barrier to having inclusive AI is the lack of involvement of persons with disabilities and users in AI development, which really needs to be overcome, as has been already mentioned in previous presentations. And additionally, AI can help provide more personalized services for persons with specific needs and help persons lead a more independent life, especially when AI is aligned with the objectives of autonomy and of quality of life. We can move to the next point, which is employment and service provision. Research on AI and employment shows that soft and behavioral skills will remain key while AI continues to be implemented. And some say that AI will not replace humans in the workplace, but humans working with AI will replace those who do not. Therefore, although there may not be a shortage of jobs, the nature of work will change or can change, and society must prepare for this transformation. Importantly, technology should not be implemented without consulting those affected, for instance, employees and staff, and should not leave anyone behind. So, on another side, in implementing AI, service providers must not overestimate its benefits, as Mila very well said. Sometimes the benefits of AI may not justify the extra costs and could divert resources from measures that are more needed. However, in service provision, AI can bring the opportunity of significantly reducing administrative burden and improve time management. So it's a balancing act of seeing where the advantages and disadvantages of AI are and making a decision as a service provider on what is more beneficial. And the final point that is addressed in these opportunities and challenges is the topic of assistive technologies. AI can be considered among the new technologies that can support a faster evolution of the field of assistive technologies, although it is not an assistive technology in itself. However, assistive technologies can actually enhance the autonomy of persons with disabilities also without AI. So service providers will need to have an outcome-oriented approach on the adoption of AI tools, and yet again, be critical in evaluating when it is more useful or not to use AI. And we can move on to the next slide. So in this briefing, EPR proposed several recommendations, both for policymakers and for service providers for persons with disabilities. And the recommendations for policymakers include the following. First, having data collection and monitoring. And this includes having quality and representation in data used to train AI models. So including data related to persons with disabilities. Having bias prevention and mitigation through metrics preventing statistical discrimination. And thirdly, having transparency and human oversight to protect user privacy, as well as aligning AI systems with GDPR and data protection standards. Secondly, another recommendation would be having an ethical use of AI. This would mean funding research and development in affordable and accessible artificial intelligence, and also encouraging responsible innovation from AI developers by suggesting that they adhere to ethical guidelines aligning with accessibility goals. Thirdly, it is important to address the problem of a lack of awareness, having more awareness raising of affordable AI. For instance, the EU could spotlight accessibility, affordability, and ethical solutions. There could be more commitment to bridge the digital divide in EU policymaking. And finally, having more awareness raising campaigns of what solutions are out there that can be accessible and affordable. Next slide, please. Thank you. Following up with a fourth recommendation for policymakers was having a national implementation of the AI Act by firstly promoting human rights-based AI. So AI systems should respect and promote the rights of persons with disabilities as part of the National AI Act implementation. There should be cross-sectoral collaborations between legislators, tech firms, and advocacy groups. There should also be an educational integration of AI into curricula in order to train the next generations. And finally, there should also be a monitoring mechanism to assess the AI Act implementation. And then moving to the next, sorry, no, going back to the last slide, thank you. Another recommendation for policymakers would be to adopt measures to retain AI talent in the EU, which is essential to develop any accessible AI. And finally, it is important to assess the environmental impact of the use of AI models and systems, which is oftentimes not in the focus of the conversation, but is also very important. Okay, now yes, next slide. Thank you. So, and finally, as for the recommendations for service providers, the briefing recommends investing in digital skills and training for staff on new AI tools. Firstly, incorporating digital skills in vocational training, and also leveraging existing models instead of creating new systems from scratch if AI is implemented in services. And then another recommendation is implementing person-centered, disability-inclusive AI solutions. So first, co-creating with persons with disabilities in testing and feedback stages of AI legislation and technology implementation, and co-designing AI solutions with persons with disabilities. Also, having a purpose-driven, safe AI use, so developing AI strategies tailored to social services, ensuring practical solutions actually improve organizational efficiency. Having capacity building in data protection for service users and staff, which is more and more prevalent, more important. Promoting the use of assistive technologies that benefit from AI. And finally, fostering responsibility and accountability. For example, through collection of feedback from workers and from end users about the use of AI tools in the organization. And given the sensitivity of user data, implementing robust privacy protection to prevent exploitation and enhance safety of service users. Okay. Sorry, let's go back one slide. So that would be the end of my presentation. I would like to open the floor in case any of you has any questions, any comments, or yes, any comments about the content of the annual conference, any perspectives, feel free to share. Okay. Then, if nobody has any question or comment, we can move forward for the sake of timekeeping. And I'm very happy to give the floor to Giada Venier, who is the EU Policy Officer at Fondazione Don Gnocchi, and who will provide a presentation about Fondazione Don Gnocchi's experience in using AI. So, Giada, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Clara. You're sharing. Oh, okay, perfect. I let it to you. I leave it to you. Okay. Thank you very much for the invitation, and also thank you for organizing this webinar. If we go to the next slide, I would like to briefly introduce Don Gnocchi Foundation for those who don't know us. Don Gnocchi Foundation is the largest private non-profit organization in the field of rehabilitation in Italy. We have 28 centers across 9 regions and around 3.5 million patient accesses per year and 6,000 employees. We are providers of rehabilitation, mostly medical, but also social rehabilitation and long-term care and home care services. We have a strong focus since the very beginning on technology and innovation. And of course, we are proud members of EPR. If we go to the next slide, this was a summary slide on the regulatory framework on AI, but I will not focus too much here because our colleague from EDF, Kave, already explained the implications of the AI Act on social services. I just would like to emphasize also the important implications it will have on healthcare services, because most AI-based medical devices, there are already many. Nowadays, they will be classified as high risk. And so the companies producing these software will need to do a double, a single conformity assessment, but both for the AI Act requirements, which are new, and for the medical device regulations. So there is a little bit of a risk of an increase in cost, timeline, and bureaucracy, which could slow down a little bit the arrival of new innovative devices on the market for our users. Another thing I would like to emphasize here, Kave mentioned the guidelines on prohibited practices under the AI Act. These guidelines were published by the Commission, and for the drafting, the Commission launched a public consultation. And if we go to the next slide, actually these public consultations, probably there will be more, because the Commission will continue working on these guidelines, which are basically documents that provide concrete examples to help stakeholders to better understand some requirements of the AI Act. These first ones were on the definition of an AI system and on the prohibited AI practices. And I think that these consultations are an opportunity also for service providers to provide feedback, This is what we, as a Doniochi Foundation, did. As Clara mentioned, I work as EU policy officer, and together with my colleague Mattia Randazzo, who is a biomedical engineer, we provided feedback to the consultation. And on the left side of the slide, you can see some of the examples that we provided to the survey. The Commission was looking for practical examples of AI systems that would be prohibited under the AI Act. For example, manipulating the vulnerability of a person, exploiting these vulnerabilities for profit. And we were glad to see that our exercise, our mental exercise was useful, and that some of the examples that the Commission included in the published guidelines were actually quite similar to the ones we had taught at the beginning. So it was useful for us to see and to double check whether we understood well the provisions of the AI Act. If we go to the next slide, when it comes to adopting AI in service provision, I was thinking about a metaphor to better explain the situation that I think many of us are in. So I think that many organizations right now are trying to test and try out AI here and there, sort of like a patchwork adoption, mostly in single search projects. But then you need to actually have a comprehensive, to shift to a more comprehensive adoption and to put all the little pieces together for an adoption of AI that is comprehensive. It's not only vertical, but involves also the processes of an organization, and that it has clear governance. Of course, to make this shift, you need a lot of effort, time, engagement from the top management and from your staff, so it's not easy. In FTG, we are there. As you can see on the line, we have good knowledge of AI. We have been implementing AI in different research projects, and in a few seconds I will present 2 of these projects. And we are beginning now to work on a comprehensive strategy for adoption of AI in the organization. So there is still a little bit of work to do. If we go to the next slide, I would like to present the first of the 2 projects. So this one is more on social inclusion, and the second one will be more on medical rehabilitation, just to show both fields of action of the Doniochi Foundation. The first one is called Pathway Companion. It is a project that we started in 2024 with funding from google.org, which is the social responsibility part of the company Google. It is an Italian project. We have other 3 Italian partners. And the aim is to develop an AI-based intelligent tutor that adapts learning materials for children with special learning needs to support teachers and caregivers and promote inclusive education. Just for the sake of clarification, in Italy, special learning needs is a category that includes students with disability, according to Italian law, students with specific developmental disorders like autism, ADHD, etc., but also students living in disadvantaged socioeconomic, linguistic, or cultural context. And according to recent estimates, approximately 8% of Italian students studying in different education stages have a special learning need. So the social impact of this project is quite clear. It is to guarantee the right to use AI to guarantee the right of education to all children, and also to support the efforts of school professionals, teachers, special needs support teachers who are often lacking. We have a lack of these professionals, at least in Italy, to help them in their daily work with children in vulnerable contexts. So if we go to the next slide, I can briefly explain to you how this platform, this intelligent tutor works. It is made up of three AI engines, so it is a bit complex. There is a first engine which provides, which suggests the compensatory tools, the learning strategies to the teacher based on the information on the child, on the student that the teacher provides through a chatbot. Here on the right, you can see it's in Italian, but it's just to give you an idea. There is a screenshot of a chat where the teacher says, for example, I have a student, 12 years old. He's attending the second year of middle school. He doesn't have a recognized special learning need, but he has difficulty in the comprehension of the narrative of a text, and he has trouble in inferring processes. And the chatbot, based on this information, suggests some compensatory tools. For example, guided comprehension, conceptual maps, or the simplification of text in this case. One thing I would like to emphasize was that these compensatory tools were provided by our child neuropsychiatrist. These are tools and learning strategies that are evidence-based and that our clinicians use every day with students with special learning needs. So we feeded these tools and the rules for the selection of the tools to the AI, and we trained this first engine, namely on this task. The second engine, based on the tools that were selected in the first one, adapts the contents. Here, the teacher uploads a piece of textbook. It can be a chapter or some contents, and this engine adapts it based on the tools and provides it back to the teacher, who then uses it with the child. And then there is a third engine which allows intelligent tutoring. Basically, it allows the continuous personalization of the adaptation based on the child's progress and monitoring. A key part is human supervision, meaning that teachers and caregivers provide the materials. So I remember before Kaveh was talking about asking AI to create adapted textbooks. I don't know if that is still really impossible or not, but here is slightly different, meaning that here the teacher uploads the material, the school material that is then adapted by the AI. And I have to say that the AI trained in this way is also quite good at doing this. And human supervision here also means that there is always an adult with the child when this tutor is used. So the adults are always mediating between the child and the AI. If we go to the next slide, there is an example of an adapted text. We are in middle school, and the teacher gives a task, a homework, to read the first chapter of A Study in Scarlet, which here is in Italian, but just an example, and describe the characters. In this case, the student has a comprehension difficulty. So the student can read, he can read, but has trouble understanding the structure of the text and its main elements. For example, who are the characters, the events, the logical sequences. So on the left, you have the screenshot of the first, the original text of A Study in Scarlet. And then on the right, you have two examples of adaptation The first one was based on the tool of simplification. In this case, the AI simplified the syntax. So it replaced subordinate clauses with coordinate clauses, which are easier to understand. And in the second case, it provided guided comprehension. So here you can see that it provides the list with the names of the characters, as well as the various ways and synonyms used to refer to those characters in the text to help better understand the text. Nowadays, we are now currently testing this platform in schools with teachers and the support teachers. In the project, we will also make it available in Spanish and Portuguese. But we would also, of course, like to make it available in English as well, because we believe that this is really a great example of how AI can be used to increase social inclusion and inclusive education. The next slide, very briefly, is the other project. This is more on medical rehabilitation. It's called COAIDER, and it's funded by the Italian Ministry of Health. This is about creating a decision support system that is an AI system that supports, in this case, our clinicians using rehabilitation robots. It supports them to, this system will provide the recommendations to the clinicians on how to personalize the exercises and the parameters of the robots, which you can see in the picture. We have adopted robotic rehabilitation 10 years ago, if I remember well. These robots produce huge amounts of data, but a person cannot analyze of this data, but AI can. So in this case, the final aim is to personalize even more medical rehabilitation to enhance rehabilitation outcomes for the patients. And if we go to the next and final slide, I put a list of key actions for adopting AI in an organization. These are based on all our networking activities, on participation to EPR activities, to national policy tables, and really based on our experience. So the first point, which is always a good suggestion, is to appoint a reference person for AI in the organization, a person, for example, in the legal department or IT department, to whom employees and the staff can go and ask for questions if they have doubts. The second key action is to survey the current applications of AI in your organization. The fact that maybe you still don't, for example, we as well, we still don't have a strategy of AI, it doesn't mean that people are not already using AI. And there is this concept of shadow AI, which is AI that is already used within an organization, but is somewhat hidden and it's used without governance. And that, of course, can bring risk. Then set a clear perimeter of action. So tell in a very clear way what can be done in the organization with AI and what should not be done with AI. Again, as Mila already mentioned, do impact assessment of the possible AI applications and its impact on your workflows and processes. Develop internal policies on AI that are in a clear and practical language, not simply replicating regulations. Regulations are written always in a very complicated text. And if you simply copy the text of the AI Act, probably people will not be able to, to implement these policies. So it's important to translate the regulation into practical recommendations and examples. Then you need to enforce and monitor these policies and update them when needed to raise awareness as well, very important, on the role of data and how data is used for AI training, the difference between personal data, sensitive data, and more general data, data related to intellectual property and the safety and security of data sets, especially data sets of the organization. And then, last but not least, to raise awareness, as it was already mentioned before, about transparency and accountability of AI. So this is all. I'm sorry if I was a bit too long, but yes, this is all. Thank you for your
Thank you very
attention.
much. Thank you, Giada. And I would open the floor in case someone has one question. Let's open. If anyone has any question, any comments on Giada's presentation.
May I maybe say something? Yeah. Thank you, Jada, for the presentation, and of course for all the speakers previously as well. What I heard today, going like through all of the presentations, is that there is a necessity for the, let's say, a common ground, a common understanding of the use, the clear vision of use of AI, and actually the strategy and some sort of internal, let's say, document on how to use it, when to use it, defining ethical questions, defining risks, defining the opportunities, and so on. So this is just what I hear from all of the speakers. So I believe here, at least, everyone is quite on the same page. So that the question for the future would be how to, let's say, transfer the idea and the awareness at some point to the organizations, like in general, so we all work on the same in the same understanding. So yeah, and I really like the idea of this idiom or the comparison with the patchwork adoption. So using here and there and little by little. So I believe this is all of us as individuals using the different tools in different contexts and so on. But then it's very necessary to have, you know, this kind of a common ground for this. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Katrina, for your very good comment. Okay, so I think we can move forward with the last presentation, last intervention of today. I would like to give the floor to Modolf Moen, who is the Digitalization and Communications Manager at Arbeid en Includering, and who will present an AI project from his organization. So yes, Modolf, the floor is yours. I believe we cannot hear you. We cannot hear you for now.
Do you hear me now?
Yes, now we can. Thank you so much. Welcome.
A lot of different computers, and I'm not that accustomed to Zoom either. Norway is a Microsoft Teams country. Thanks for the invite. I work for the organization Work and Inclusion. We have approximately 100 membership organizations or inclusion businesses that provide opportunities for people with, among other things, disabilities to enter the workforce, either the ordinary labor market or the more what should I say, with more accommodations as well. So what I will show you now is our take on AI is maybe a bit different than what's been described so far, but this is Clara AI, and it's a platform for inclusive recruitments. What we've done here is that we as an organization, instead of approaching a big IT firm or something like that, we have chosen to take the development of the platform into our own hands. So this is built by job counselors only. And we provide the instructions to this low-code tool that's called Lovable. We've been working in Lovable, which was originally Swedish, and it does all the programming based on our input in normal text. And the whole design behind this platform is working for blind or non-discriminatory recruitments. So we keep all personal information about the candidate out of the solution with two exceptions. The first exception is postal code, because when we are to match candidates with suitable employers, they need to know how far the candidate lives from the place of work, naturally. And also if the candidate has a driver's license or not. It's important in Norway, as anyone who's been there know it's a long-winded and difficult country to get around in. So having a driver's license is actually very important for an employer to know. And this is the main thing. Instead of providing CV-like information about the candidate, let's say name or age or things like that, we have chosen to build the candidate profiles only on tasks. We've used the inclusive job design method from the Hollands to provide a framework for how we want the candidates to have profiles built. So you can choose between 600 professions, and you'll have sub tasks or sub assignments provided from them. If I choose electrician here, I'll find this is official Norwegian documentation from our department of we call it the Department of Higher Education. They've provided us with a breakdown of which skilled and which unskilled tasks that an electrician does. And you can provide an unskilled profile. For example, this has to do with readying equipment. This has to do with organizing or tidying up equipment. And you can build a candidate profile on tasks only. And this corresponds to an interface for employers that also make profiles with the same tasks. So if there's a big correspondence between tasks registered on the candidate and the tasks the employer asks for, you get a match, and I'll show you the match in a minute. But again, building upon not providing sensitive information, we only provide experience level. That's one of the inputs per task, and your motivation level, and we'll replace that term with interest level instead. And this also provides input to the algorithm that causes matches. And this is what makes this platform a bit different. It's not only for job counselors trying to find businesses and opportunities for their clients, it's also for employers who can directly enter what they need. And they're not entitled to any information about name, age, sex, accommodation needs, things like that. The job counselor guarantees that the task registered on the candidate, that he or she or they are able to do that. So it's we try to keep all sources for discrimination out of the process. And we are piloting this now. There are 450 job counselors that give us in Work and Inclusion everyday feedback on what kind of new functionalities or new functions they want. And we feed this to Lovable through this chat. So I can ask Lovable to program this and that, and I can use natural language and written statements from the job counselors to actually reprogram this platform continuously. I'll show you a function that's called job matching. Here you can see that this candidate, Clara 584, let's see if we can find another example. Clara 583. I'm trying to find one with a good match because we don't have real employers here yet. We're only piloting the employer side. The job counselor side is actually already launched, but we're still piloting this side. You get different scores depending on how close the candidate is to the tasks provided by the employer. I only have carpenter firms here now, so I won't be able to show. With another user, I have a lot of electricians, and that would provide a higher match. But this is the meeting place. This is the sort of Tinder between candidates through the job counselors, that is, and employers. So a match here will be registered, and the job counselor can reserve the match and arrange a meeting with the employer and the candidate to see if it's something worth working with. So it's meant to speed up the process of matching candidates with jobs. So that is where we are now. We've gotten some fundage from the Norwegian Union of Enterprises, the biggest organization for trade unions, which we are a member of. And this project finishes in 2027. In October, it's meant for a global rollout. Right now, we're still developing it, as you saw, bottom up. And next year, we will use actual employers to provide input on how they would like this platform to work. So it's actually not AI in terms of there's some AI in it. You can write to employers here. You have templates and letters that are generated, but the main way of saying this is an AI project is that we use AI to make our profession technologists. We skip the technologists and we bring it into the profession. So that's the main idea behind this. Yes, I guess the time is up, isn't it?
Yes, thank you so much, Modolf, for your presentation. And I would like to open the floor in this last minute in case anyone has any questions. Okay. I just wanted to ask, during creating this project, did you also consult organizations of persons with disabilities or persons with disabilities themselves that will be using the AI,
Yeah.
the application? Yeah.
The thing is, there are no candidates. This is only matchmaking with counselors and employers. So there are no candidates involved in the user side, and their profiles are only built on tasks, as you can see. So it's not a job application platform. It's more a matching platform. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you for this clarification. So, in order to finish on time, let me say just some final words. Thank you so much, Model, for your presentation. It was really interesting.
Welcome.
Okay, so let's move to...
I'll close this maybe.
Yes, perfect. That would be great. Thank you so much.
See, how do I stop sharing?
I think it's already done.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yes, perfect. Thank you so much. So just some concluding words. I would like to highlight 3 key takeaways that appeared throughout the whole webinar. Firstly, that AI brings key opportunities for service providers for persons with disabilities to overcome resource and staff shortages. And as we have seen, it can be useful as within assistive technology as a tool at the organizational level. It can be a tool for job matching. Yes, no problem.
Model, we see your email.
You still see my
Yeah.
email, yeah.
I don't
okay.
think you
Thank
want
you.
us to read them or answer them. Sorry, Clara.
Thank you so much. Okay. Let me know if it's solved.
I'm actually not sure how I can stop sharing.
Wait.
Maybe inexperience.
I did it. No
You did
problem.
it. Great.
It's done. Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you for noting this. Okay. So we have three key takeaways from this meeting. First one, how AI brings opportunities for service provision for persons with disabilities. Secondly, that in order to seize these opportunities, it is essential for services to train and upskill their staff, management and users, as well as to carefully plan and evaluate how they implement AI in service provision to maximize the autonomy and quality of life of persons with disabilities. And finally, that the involvement of persons with disabilities in the development and implementation of AI tools is very important to ensure that they are accessible and respect their rights. So this highlights how important it is for end users, the private sector, and policymakers to collaborate in addressing any ethical challenges of AI. And EPR will continue following any new developments in the AI sector with its members, as well as any AI policy regulating AI. And in view of EU-level initiatives such as this digital omnibus that Kave talked about on AI, EPR aims to keep collaborating with its members and partners to promote an ethical development and use of these technologies. And finally, I would like to thank all speakers that have provided their insights today. We have had a very complete session. I would also like to thank you, our dear participants, for listening and for your questions and comments, which also have been very valuable. And I would also like to thank my colleague Raya, who has been helping me with the technical support today. So yes, I would wish you all happy holidays. I hope you get some very well-deserved rest. And finally, one last thing is that we will also share with you in a follow-up email the evaluation form for this webinar. Feel free to scan it right now using your phone devices and to complete it. And yes, this is the last thing. And thank you for staying for 5 extra minutes and wishing you good holidays. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Happy holidays.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.